Hello, hello. How is everyone doing today? How's everybody doing out there? Good to see everyone. Hey, Heather, how are you?
I'm doing all right. Thanks for asking. How are you?
Good. I am hanging in there. Yes. No, I'm good. I think this is going to be a fun one today. Hey, remember, folks, if you're out there, be sure and tell us what country, city, state, planet, universe, galaxy, all that stuff. Put it on there. Where you're from. We always like to know. All right, here we go. There you go. Low Country, South Carolina. Hey, Jolyn, how are you? And she is a member. She's got a little member symbol next to her name. Thank you for being a member. And Richard, who's also a member. Huckleberry Howdy from Monrovia, California. There you go. Then Niagara Falls. There we go. Got a Canadian in the house. There we go. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. And also a member. Lots of members showing up today. And there's Andrew. Yep, from the Hermite. The Hermit has arrived, or Hermite. Listen to me. Can't even speak. Looking forward to today. Yes, Ron, it's good to see you. And
he says looking forward to today. Then he said today's show. So there you
go. Yes, there you go. Hello from Hermitage. There we go. Hi, Peggy. There you go. Look at there's Rona. How are you? Wow. Look at there. Scotland, near Edinburgh. Wow, that is so cool. It's nice to get some of those ones that aren't necessarily from right here in our back door, right? I mean, so
that's right. That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So without further ado, because we want to make sure that we get all of this information, because this is a really cool subject and a really cool thing that we're going to talk about today.
Wait. I want to talk about our guest first, because there might be one person who lives under a rock has no clue who this is. I just want to say our guest today is a Google product expert for YouTube, blogger, AdSense, Hangouts, Google Meet and Chat, Google Fi, and Google Accounts, which is what I think it would have been. Today, so.
I think it would have been easier. It would have been easier if you just listened to the things she wasn't.
No, I like naming all of those things, because I'm telling you what, this is when somebody has an issue with Google or wants to know anything about, this is who you call. That when the experts call an expert, this is the expert they call. So.
There you go. And without further ado, it is Peggy K. Hey, Peggy K.
That's right.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here. And
100%.
Thank you for the nice introduction. Awesome. I have to say, this is something that I am kind of passionate about, talking about Google accounts, mostly because I help in all these other Google products, and all of them require a Google account. So
that's true. That's true. So how about that? That's so awesome. Hello from Phoenix. How about that? Look at there's Bob Baxter from over Bellevue, Washington. Good. Great to see everybody. Awesome. Be sure to ask your questions out there. Remember, community members, afterward, you guys get a chance to come in the backstage pass and talk with us. Oh, look at there. Mission, Kansas. How about that? That's awesome. All right. All right, Peggy, listen, we're going to get right to it. Let's get rocking and rolling, because we want to push a lot of information out there. And I'm sure people are going to ask a lot of questions, because I'm sure something's come about or whatever about their account or whatever. I'm sure there'll be war stories and all that kind of stuff. So let's have some fun with it. You ready? You want me to share right now? I can share your screen. Share the screen if you want me to. You tell me. Or you want to talk? Okay.
No.
Let me know.
I just wanted to give a little introduction first. I think probably most of the people watching here know this, but not everyone does. What the heck is your Google account, right?
Yeah.
And this is the account that you sign into to access all your Google products and services. So that's when you sign into your Gmail, your YouTube, your Google Photos, Google Drive, Google Pay, if you use Google Pay. All of these Google products and services require you to sign into a Google account to access them. So I think it gets a little confusing, because Google makes it pretty streamlined and easy to create a Google account. It's like you're on YouTube and you see something you want to comment, and it kind of just walks you through the process. And you may not realize what you're doing is creating a Google account with YouTube on it. And so I think that is the first thing everyone has to keep in mind. Are all these Google products and services important to you? That's why you need to keep your Google account secure.
Oh, great point. Excellent point.
Peggy, I just want to bring up too, a lot of people, I mean, Chrome is one of the most popular browsers out there now. It is a hugely used browser. And when you sign in and you make bookmarks, basically you've made a Google account that way as well, correct? Am I saying that right?
Probably so. You know, I don't actually know how it works through Chrome, and I am using a Chromebook right now, and that I'm signed into my Google account in my Chromebook. So, you know, I kind of have not the typical access to Chrome you'd have on Windows or on a Mac.
Yeah, I think you would have to have an account only because it's the only way to store the bookmarks. It would be the only way that you could store the bookmarks. Yeah. So and share them and sync them and whatever from device to device. So I would assume that that's the way. So even that, something as simple as, like you said, comments on YouTube or Chrome or whatever, you have an account most likely. Most likely you have one. Don't even realize you have one. But anyway, go ahead.
So I also want to say that everyone watching this has homework. Everyone watching this, as soon as this is done, go do a security checkup on your Google account, do a privacy checkup on your Google account, check your Google profile and see which people can see about you. There are links in the description of the video.
Yep. And I just put them into the chat too for everyone on every service that you're on except for Twitter. If you're watching this on Twitter, you're going to have to find it on YouTube.
Perfect. And it takes a little time, and you may be surprised what you find there, things that need to be corrected. I do it periodically and discover things like, for example, it says there's this service connected to your Google account. Do you want to stay connected? And I think, what the heck is that? When did I even do that?
Right. So, when you gave it permission to do something,
yeah. You've done it in the past.
Yeah.
Check again.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a great point.
And I think it's so easy to create an account and you think nothing will ever happen to my account. And the reality is things happen. You know, you lose access. Some people get hijacked. That happens frequently. You see that a lot in the YouTube help community. And, you know, hijackers are sneaky. You install an extension that you think is giving you game hacks or something like that. And before you know it, you've lost your YouTube channel. So,
or you open up an email that seems like it came from YouTube and
that's
it
true
did
too.
not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good point.
Yes.
Good point. Yeah. Valid point.
But if you configure your account as well as you can, that will help. So the first thing I'm going to say is it's really easy to access your Google account settings. Not everyone may know this. I'm going to, if you could show me the...
I'll share it. Yeah, I'll share it. Yep.
The slide.
So there we go.
So whenever you're on Google, click your profile photo at top right, and then you'll see a little options, and then just say manage your Google account. That will take you right there. And also, I just want to mention what I'm talking about today applies to personal Google accounts, free Google accounts. If you're using a school account or a work account, your administrator may be controlling some of these settings. And so it's good to keep those accounts secure, but you should talk to your admin about how best to do that.
Yeah.
Great point. Great point.
So once you have clicked that, you put on the Google account page, it says welcome, and hopefully you are seeing the notice that says you're protected by two-step verification. That is not only strongly recommended, it's something Google is pushing. First of all, if your channel is in the YouTube Partner Program, it is required that your Google account have two-step verification. And in addition to that, Google started, I think it was last fall, slowly adding Google accounts to adding the two-step verification to Google accounts without people doing anything. They're doing it automatically. They're doing it in cases where they think that the account is configured for that to work properly. But it's getting to the point, if you don't set up two-step verification, Google may do it for you. And of course, it's better to set it up yourself so you know it's configured the way you want it configured.
Yeah, good
So
point. Yeah.
if you haven't set up two-step verification, I recommend you do that.
That would be homework
Amen.
piece number 2.
There you go.
Yes. Yes. So, and you will see that if you run a security checkup on your account, you will see setting up two-step verification as one of the things
Processes.
that they encourage you to do.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let me see. So I want to just talk about the settings a little bit. And the first settings, what we're really focused on here today, are the security settings. Just click security when you're in your Google account settings. At the top, where you see on mine, it says your account is protected, see details. If you have not recently run a security checkup, that will be a prompt to run a security checkup. I ran a security checkup just before I took the screenshot, so I should be all up to date on this particular account. It will also show you recent security activity, name changes, unusual sign-ins, things like that for the past 28 days. If you see anything there that you do not recognize, you need to check into that.
Yeah. Find out why, find out what it is, etc. Yeah, exactly.
Can I point out something on this slide? I noticed that where it says the password was last changed and you have blocked out the date of when it was last changed. Now, I think that's interesting that you did that, because it wouldn't seem like it's, proprietary information or anything, but it is one of the questions that will be asked sometimes when you go to verify. They want to know, did you... this password was changed on this date. Was that you who did that?
So
if you had that covered, somebody would be able to answer that question.
So Google uses a whole bunch of different signals to determine whether it's the right person signing into the account. This is true even if you have your username and password. If Google thinks something is not quite right, they may go put you through a security process before you can sign in. That's why it's really important to have recovery options and all the information you can. And so I blocked out any information that I thought could be sensitive. Does Google use that? I don't actually know.
They do, and the reason why I know this,
people need to see. So
yeah, exactly. And I know this because I logged in at my new computer at work, and Google said I don't recognize this device, and on my phone it had all these information like you're showing. So that's pretty smart. I'm impressed. I want to make sure people know Google is taking care of your account if you follow the steps and give them that information. So
yes, but it just to word to the wise, if you are getting brand new devices, if you are moving a long distance, if you're making huge changes, you've got to keep in mind that Google may see that as something that could be affecting your security.
Yep.
We see in the help community sometimes, the worst case scenario is someone, they moved across the country and they have a brand new phone that they just using for the first time, and they have no recovery options set. So to Google, this is a totally new device from a totally different location where the account is usually signed in. There's no recovery options. That user may not be able to sign back in again because Google can't verify they're the correct person. That's why it's going to sound like I'm nagging, but set security recovery options as much as you can. So let me just, this is what a security checkup looks like. If you pass the security checkup, you can see the kinds of questions they ask, or it goes through your devices, where you're signed in, any recent security activity, whether two-step verification is set up, third-party apps with access, your Gmail settings, safe passwords.
Nice.
And so I wanted to go into two-step verification a little bit. Can you turn off the
slide?
For a second? So the idea of two-step verification is that you have something like a password that you know, and then you have something like your phone that you have. So you need to have both of those things in combination to access your account. And sort of the old-fashioned kind of way with two-step verification would be you enter your password, and then your second step would be to get a text message. Text messages are not the most secure way to do that. Google's actually pushing pretty hard for prompts on your phone. So if you have a recent Android or iOS device, it can send you a prompt that says, "Was this you?" And because it assumes that you're keeping your phone secure, like you have a PIN on your phone, or some other security thing, fingerprint sensor,
fingerprint,
or face sensor, or whatever. So, and so it makes the likelihood much higher that the person entering the password and who has access to the device is the right person to access the account.
Yep, that's good.
And so just to mention, though, and now you can turn the screen back on. When you go into your two-step verification settings, after you have set it up, you can see it will show you what the available second steps are. This is what I have on this particular account. Is the default is Google Prompts. That's when you say yes on your phone. You can have a voice or text message. I actually have it set up for both a mobile phone, which will send a text message, and a landline phone where it sends, where it's a voice message. So to set up the landline phone, it calls the number, and then there's a voice that will give you the code that you have to enter. And really, really, really super important, backup codes. If you have not printed out your backup codes, do that. Those are single-use codes where if all else fails, that's your second step. You can use each code once and obviously keep them in a secure place. Don't store them on a device you need to sign into your Google account to access.
I mean,
it's difficult. A lot of people
I know what you're saying.
have one phone, and that's their only device.
Yeah. Yep.
They, sometimes people are trying hard and it's just screwed up. I mean, you can save it, for example, if your phone is your only device and you also have a really secure Microsoft account, you can store the codes in your Microsoft account as long as you don't lose access to that. But honestly, I have them printed out and stored in a safe place along with other important documents. And, nobody in my household is going to go through my files and steal my backup codes.
Okay, I have a question here coming to us from Ron with Tech for Senior. He said, just checking my Google account, doing his homework. Good job, Ron. Can you explain app passwords?
That is an excellent question. So app passwords. So you have two-step verification set up. And most modern apps and software that you use, you sign into your Google account, you get the prompt, and then you can access it. There are especially older software and apps where they don't support the two-step verification. And so what Google lets you do is set up special passwords for those specific
different apps.
And so, for example, I know older versions of Apple Mail didn't support the two-step verification. So you can set up and say, look, this is a special password. It can only be used in Apple Mail, but it will still let you sign in.
Nice.
And this is something I was going to mention later, but I want to bring up the fact that starting, I think the deadline is May 30th, Google will no longer support direct sign-in to less secure apps. Now, those less secure apps are not using the Google authentication process. These are the ones that likely do not support two-step verification. So if you still need to sign in to those apps and you can't update them, there's no updated version, you can, I believe you will still be able to use these special app passwords. That means you have to have two-step verification set up, though, to do it. And if this affects you, I'm pretty sure Google has sent you an email to say, look, you're using a less secure app. Stop doing that. Or at least secure your account. So that's a lot. So I have...
It is a lot. That's a lot to grab there, isn't it? A lot of information there. So yes, for sure. We got about 10 more minutes. So let's, whatever we need to get filled in there. Remember, if you're a community member, you'll be able to come in and we'll talk to Peggy afterward, because we do a backstage pass for community members as well. So you can ask some of the questions there. Go ahead, Peggy. All right. Just wanted to
I wanted to also say that I know this sounds overwhelming. In your two-step verification settings, there are additional options you can add for the second step. You can use a physical security key. You know, and usually most of those you plug into the USB port. It's like a YubiKey. And you can also set an authenticator. So Google Authenticator generates these codes. They're only, you can only use them for like a minute or something like that. And so you can have additional options. Having multiple ways to have the second step is a good idea, because if one of them doesn't work, you can use another one. There has to be a balance. You need to keep in mind, okay, how are you going to keep things secure versus how are you going to access your account? But definitely have backup options.
I like that. If you don't get anything else out of this, that's a great statement right there. Seriously, because that is so important. I think I agree with you. I agree 100%. So,
in addition to all that, if you could show the screen again.
I will indeed. Yep, absolutely.
Again, in security, ways we can verify it's you. This is in addition to your two-step verification, recovery phone number, recovery email address. Again, the recovery email address is only as secure as the email account it's in. So obviously, for your recovery email address, keep that email account secure as well. It will show you a security question is only available on old accounts. I don't believe Google lets you set that anymore. Security questions are not very secure because it's usually things about you, and it's easy for people to find that information out.
Right, exactly. Yep.
It shows you the devices you are signed into. You can see I'm signed into my Chromebook, this device, and 2 phones, and third-party apps that have access to my account. If you don't recognize those, aren't using those, disable the access.
Get them out of there. Yeah, exactly. I hear you.
So, and just to mention, if you have all these things set up, that's awesome. But for example, in this particular account, this is not one of my primary accounts that I'm showing, but I clicked on the recovery phone number and I realized for some reason, one of the phone numbers I'd added for recovery was not verified. I don't know, I must have added it. So it's good to not only see, oh, I have a recovery phone number set, and that's my current phone number. Click on it, make sure it's not showing that it needs to be verified. The same with the email, recovery emails can be verified as well. And it's important to keep all that up to date. It doesn't make sense to, you know, set all these things and not check them for 10 years. And in that time, you change your phone number and you've changed your email and those things are no longer correct. The important thing is to do them before you need to use them. Hopefully, you never have to go through the account recovery process.
Amen.
But if you do, you want your account to be recoverable.
Yeah, you want to have everything there available that you can possibly give to help that in that recovery process. I understand that totally. Totally. And I know that this has been brought up. This is why I'm going to bring it up now. I know we had this issue when my uncle passed away. No one could get into his account at all. And that was a huge issue, and we just dealt with it. But I know that you want to involve your spouse. I think, at least I feel that way. A lot of time, like recovery phone numbers might be my wife's and that kind of thing, and we just alter that just in case my phone's down or whatever. And we talked about this a little bit in the green room beforehand with my mother, who had the issue with 𝘁𝗶𝐵𝗴, etc. Boom. But I do want to just say, I think it's a good idea to have that kind of a backup kind of thing.
One of the things that Google does let you do is set up an inactive account option, where if your account is not active for a certain amount of time, and you can choose the amount of time, it will then contact specific people that you have designated, and you can choose what happens, but Google will let you give them access to your data. It doesn't give them access to the account, but to the data from the account, or you can just have your account deleted if that's important. But there's so many things now that are in our Google accounts, in all of our accounts, that keep things secure and somewhere have the information about how to sign in. Because like you said with your uncle, if you keep that information completely secret, I mean, it's a balance between security and recovery.
Right, exactly.
So, have that information somewhere safe. You don't want to tell people, oh, here's my password to my account, sign in, but instead have that with all your important documents.
It's a great point.
If something happened to you, then
great point.
Your loved ones will have access.
Yeah, I think that's a great suggestion there too. I mean, because like you, I'm in the accounts product forum where we're answering questions. It's almost always account recovery that we're dealing with as far as that. And it's the toughest. It's the toughest because you feel for some of these people. I mean, sometimes, you start thinking, you're like, is this person being for real? Or is because you start to feel like, or is this really happening? You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're either sympathetic, or you're like, why didn't you set this up ahead of time? And then other times you're like, God, wonder if this is a scammer trying to get through, someone else's account or whatever.
There's no way to know. I know,
and that's the hardest thing.
For help are actually hijackers.
Right.
We have no way to know. All I can say is, there's an account recovery process. You need to go through that process. Google is looking at multiple signals to determine if you're the actual account owner. There's really nothing more that we can do except point that out. And that's why it's so important to have recovery options set that so that if it's you that gets locked out, you can recover your account.
And more than, I think another thing that I got out of this today is more than just one thing. I mean, don't get as much things as you can. If you're in fear of not being able to ever recover this, make sure you got 2-step. Make sure you have all those things, those last 3 things that you listed on the slide that we put up or whatever, the recovery phone, email, special question, whatever, all that kind of stuff. As much information as you can give to help you get that recovered. And you correct me if I'm wrong, because you're better with this and you've been in it longer than I have. There's only one way that you can start that process, right? There's one link that it takes you and gets that process going. Is that correct, Peggy?
You mean the account recovery process?
I do.
Yes, there is one account recovery process. Google does have some tips for successful account recovery. It recommends things. Use a device that you usually use to sign in. Be in a location where you usually sign in. So clearly those are signals Google uses to determine if you are the real account owner or not. But there's going to be a bunch of signals. And of course, Google doesn't share all the details about what they're looking at exactly. They don't want to help hijackers.
Exactly.
And I'll also put a plug. if in case anyone watching here has a super high risk account, politicians, journalists, people who are high profile YouTubers, anyone who might be targeted to have their account taken over, Google has an advanced protection program. It involves more security steps to access your account. They actually recommend you set up 2 physical security keys, for example. So
nice.
if you think that you might be a target of someone trying to hijack you specifically, look into the advanced protection program.
Great points. All great points, man. Good question. A lot of people asking questions out there too. If anybody's rewatching this, if you're rewatching this video later and you have questions, be sure and put it in the comments. And I always check them. I always look at them, and I'll make sure and let Peggy know too. Maybe she can help you out, or if I can help you out, I'll help you out, whatever. I know you're an extremely helpful person in all these facets. And I personally, I've reached out to you personally and said, Peggy, I need some help with this. And you're extremely helpful. And I really do appreciate that. I'm going to have down there your blogger page where you have all kinds of stuff in the description of this video. You can go reach out to Peggy that way too. I mean, she's Peggy K everywhere.
But just to be totally clear, for account recovery, there's usually not really anything we can do other than say go through the account recovery process.
Right. No, that's great. Valid point.
I know I said that before, but
valid point.
It can be heartbreaking sometimes when people say, this is the account, it has all my photos in it. And all you can say is, try again, try from a different location.
Valid point.
Do your best.
Valid point. Valid point. Yeah, no, and I didn't necessarily mean from account recovery. I just meant in helping in any way, a lot of things as far as that goes. But yeah, I think I encourage everyone to go out and look at Peggy's blog page. There you go. The Bible and Things Google. There you go. Andrew says.
And I also wanted to mention, this is like really basic. Sometimes in the help communities, we get people who don't know their account username, which is an email address. You set up your account quickly, you stay signed in all the time. You don't use Gmail on it. You may forget. Make a note of that somewhere. Check your account settings. Make sure that information is somewhere so that you know how to sign into your account and you know your account details and there's a way to recover it.
That's fantastic. That's a great point too. That's awesome. Good stuff. Fantastic. There you go. Yep. Weekly updates as well as creator updates. She is so inspirational and transparent. There you go. How nice. Very nice compliment.
Thank you. I'm glad to know some people actually read it.
I do every chance I get because I learn stuff and I feel like I know a lot about the Google products and stuff already, but no, it's awesome. Very useful, extremely useful. I appreciate you. Thanks for coming on. I really do appreciate you coming on today. I mean,
thank you for having me on. It's always a pleasure.
It's always informative every single time you come on. I always learn something new every single time. And I'm like, man, I'm going to do that, or I need to do that, or whatever it is. But so fantastic.
And thanks to everyone in the chat. Great questions. That really makes a whole discussion really interesting when people, have insightful questions to ask.
Agreed.
Speaking of,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, speaking of asking insightful questions, I'm sure if you are a member of Tinkering with Tech community, you are probably going to be joining us in the Backstage Pass, where you get to actually talk to Peggy K and ask her questions in person. And if you're not yet a member, you can join. We'll let you.
It's over here, I think.
Yeah, you just hit that blue button. It's a join button over on YouTube. You have to be on YouTube. Use your Google account that's secure to sign into YouTube, and then go ahead and click that join button and become a member at the community level. You will get an invitation to join the Backstage Pass. So we thank you very much, Peggy, for being a part of the show. And thank you to the members who make these shows possible.
Absolutely. Thank you, Peggy. And we'll see you in the Backstage Pass. I'll get you the link and everything in just a second, okay?
See y'all.
Bye, all.
You got to...